The big thing is we're just flipping coins. It doesn't mean if it comes up heads, it doesn't mean we're awesome. If it comes up tails, it doesn't mean we're shit. It just does what it does. And our job is to maximize the payoff when it comes up the right way and to minimize the risk when it comes up the other way. That's really all it is. And then just flip, right? What's cooking? You guys know what to do. If anybody wants to lead this off with a breakthrough or a Ronin win or a center win or any kind of win, that would be freaking awesome. So you don't have to look at the top of my head just clicking buttons. You said look at my top of my head, but at least there might be something else interesting going on. No wins?
Hey, Travis.
What's up, dude?
Hey, just the biggest thing for me is just I posted in the Ronin thing about just not reading the manual and just getting on the bike. So like it's super simple and it's unbelievably simple to just get people to talk to you. So
tell me more about that.
I just started going to YouTube and looking for people that I know and follow and reaching out to them and just getting responses. So nothing as far as deal making yet, but just getting the practice in is super good.
That's awesome. So everybody listening, Donnie is a Ronin. I know not everybody, we got a mixture of our centers and our Ronin here. Ronin's kind of the next step up. And today's going to be about an intro to the Ronin method. So it'd be a little bit of a recap for like Jim and Steve and Travis and Donnie, actually everybody that I'm seeing right here, but that's totally cool. So I'm going to try to do this a little different today. So I'll need your participation, a lot of participation. So I'd love if you guys could do that. Here comes Arvel.
Yeah, if it's okay, I can jump in with a win that it's surprising. Anyways, I'm working with one partner on her audience multiplier campaign, and we're getting stuff worked out to get that started. But then I was already seeding to other people that I have a great place that they can make maybe affiliate money. And so now people are reaching out to me, one person with a 37,000 person list saying, hey, can you introduce me to that person you said you were going to introduce me to? And so great. I'm like, hold on, we got to have something that works here. And then I'll be ready to make that introduction, but I don't want to pour all of those potential leads into something until we make sure that it's starting to work.
That's right. And you'll see that a lot of times when you're working with partners and you're starting to have some small wins, they start looking down the future, right? So sometimes we got to wheel them back, right? Ooh, they'll start talking about marriage and be like, okay, let's finish the date first and see how that goes from there. So
the other thing, just to follow up on your comment to me there, Travis, is that it's just such a turning of the tables when people are reaching out because they're like, hey, can you help me? Can I participate versus, oh shit, can I wrangle people into selling them some stuff? It's just such a different world.
Hold on to that thought, because that's a lot of today is going to be about that. Anybody else have some good news? We're going to save the crying section for later on, but anybody have any good news they would like to share? And if you're just popping in right now, I would like to be on camera, keep us company, raise your hand. Or if you just like to be part of the audio, raise your hand. That would be awesome.
I have a small one, but a significant one for me at least. I was going to do a viral campaign, the multiplier campaign with a client. Yep. And one of the posts I think you did or someone else, whatever, about testing small, I was like, oh, crap. Yeah, test small. So I went back to the group. I sent an email. So I'm thinking of doing that. If I do it, it's going to be a lot of work. If I did that, would you be interested in it? I just reply. And it was awful. So I saved myself a lot of work.
Dude, that's a huge win. That is a huge win. You can see things, you can analyze things, they can tell you things, but when you get in there and actually run the test, then you get the goods on the table. I'm just not smart enough to figure this out. Let's just get data. In
the past, I would have set up the entire viral campaign only to figure out like I lost all the time. So I didn't. So that was, that adds up with time.
Absolutely. And sometimes these things go way easier than we thought too, right? Whew, holy crap, they're buying no matter what I put in front of them. Because the truth of the matter is 60% of any sales success is the people right? And how they feel about the influencer or whatever it is. 30% of the success is the offer, and only 10% is really the words. But if you guys are like me, you'll pull your hair out sometimes trying to figure out these words. I know Tony can probably speak to this. Same person. We run a campaign one day for one partner and it just flops, right? It's like pulling teeth. But then I say the most junior high stupid ass shit on one of them. Oh, where can I buy it? I want it. So it has really a lot less to do with how awesome we are and the people and the offer behind it, right? So that's great.
Hey, Travis, I posted I call it a win. I posted it in the Ronin group.
Yep.
But I'll just say it's the part 3 to my rolling case study.
That's
but
awesome.
Yeah, just being able to say, I had some big ahas on this. Again, this is the first time I've had a list of this size and where I'm actually taking the product from one person to the other and being in the middle of it. And it's had its own little things, but listen, like sometimes you just don't get the wisdom until you get the wound. That's what I went through on this. I break it all down in there for everybody if they want to go in. Just being able to say no to stuff like has just been so useful. And here's the interesting thing. The more I say no, the better deals I seem to heat that come to me. And of course, Jim and I are working on a couple of them, but I've got it in with Grant Cardone's company right now, which we're working on that. So there's just some like really cool, crazy stuff. That's like a 6 million person list, but we've never do the whole thing, but yeah. Pretty cool.
You probably don't want the prospect list, but he's probably got like millions of buyers too.
Yeah, he does.
The big thing is we're just flipping coins. It doesn't mean if it comes up heads, it doesn't mean we're awesome. If it comes up tails, it doesn't mean we're shit. It just does what it does. And our job is to maximize the payoff when it comes up the right way and to minimize the risk when it comes up the other way. That's really all it is. And then just flip, right? Hopefully you guys will help me out with this. I'm going to try a little different type of format today. I may run you up on the curb, maybe a bumpy ride. I'm going to try to get you there though. So this is like really useful for all of us, my Ronin people. Like I'd love if you guys chime in for folks, because I'm not going to hide it. I think everybody should be Ronin. If you have any sense of autonomy and don't like to be told what to do and want to do way bigger deals with lots more passive income, right? Once they're set up, as I sent out in the email, this was a huge thing for me. Jeannie'd been sick since September, in the hospital since September. And I spent a lot of time at the hospital and I'm 100% home, almost 100%. Eric's here, he helps out, but almost 100% taking care of her and such. And she's getting better now. We're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, right? But I would never been able to do it if I had 30 freaking clients. I had to show up to 30 meetings and still go chase clients and all that kind of stuff. So it's important to me, and I'm not bashful about saying if you resonate with that, you should be in Ronin. So I wanted to give an intro to the Ronin method today, is what this is all about. But first, let me see a show of hands. How many of you guys have at least one client? How many of you guys have at least one client or a customer? I would assume probably almost everybody has one client or a customer, or maybe they're employed and they have an employer, which is the same thing. How many of you guys have a waiting list of clients? Yeah. How many of you guys have as many clients as you want? Jim does, Arvel does, Dion also. That's awesome.
I was just going to say, I have more than I want. I have 2 clients.
Yes.
I have other partners. I have 2 clients. One finishes on Friday and the other one, it's a little bit longer, but I'm not planning on taking on any more.
So much wisdom. The more you talk, Jim, the smarter I think you are. But that's so true, right? Why is getting clients so damn hard? Have you ever stop and ask yourself, like, why is getting clients so hard?
They're not completely certain that you're going to deliver, maybe.
There you go. Got to be certain you're going to deliver. What else? What else do you guys think about that?
They see some kind of risk there.
They see risk, right? So
unless it's a Ronin deal,
yeah,
of course, but normally.
Yeah, we're going to make a distinction between clients and partners, right? To me, they're 2 different things, but that's absolutely true, right? What else do you think's going on in the world that makes getting clients? Is getting clients getting easier or harder? Easier or harder? If you think it's getting easier, give me a thumbs up. You get harder, give me a thumbs down. Why is it getting harder? Almost everybody's got thumbs down. Nobody had a thumbs up. Why is it getting harder?
Competition, maybe.
Competition. Like what's led to some of the competition, do you think, over the last few years?
Parrots, as in people just repeating the offers that they see on the market. repeating to their clients that they can do it. So you have many people giving the clients the same offer, maybe?
Yeah. So if you finally get a qualified lead and you actually have a sales call with them, right? Now they're like, oh, why should I choose you over these other 10 other people? How many of you guys love having that conversation? Like, how many of you guys love having that conversation? Oh, here's why I'm better than the other 10 people. Yeah, exactly. Right. But something else happened too. COVID happened. The amount of freelancers now that are in the marketplace, so many more freelancers, so many more people doing side gigs, like millions more. I pulled up the graphs. I'm not going to pull them up here, just bore you to tears. But I think you guys know commonsensically, and just being out there, right? The amount of competition for people doing video editing, email marketing, any of those things are just skyrocketed through the roof. So that makes getting the clients a lot harder.
Can I add one more?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's that every day, thousands and thousands of people are being let down by whoever the hell they've hired.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think that's happening? What's happening with that?
One of the things I think is people are promising more than they can deliver. They're not qualifying their clients to find out if, will this fucking thing I'm selling you even help you? And so, yeah, that combination of promises plus the clients who aren't ready, I see those being part in the mix at least.
Yeah, I'm going to make myself the bad guy here. But Jim, if I come to you and say I'm in your finance, after I've jumped through all the hoops, after I finally jumped through all the, I got you as a qualified lead. You said, okay, send me all your references, send me your portfolio, send me 5 people that you've taught, that you've worked with. I've jumped through all those hoops, right? And all those things. And finally you say, hey, okay, we're going to go with you, right? I need 20 emails a month and I'm going to pay you $2,000 a month or whatever it is, right? The moment you say yes, Jim, and you sign a contract, again, big risk, like you sign a contract or whatever, we are now diametrically opposite side of the table and we want opposite things.
Yep.
What I want now is I want to rush through these 20 emails as quickly as possible, right? Or I want to hire a copywriter that's cheap as possible. What you want is the best possible freaking emails. You'd actually like more than 20 emails if you could get it, right? And this is just natural human nature on some level. If you employed me for like media buying services, I think that's even worse. Okay, I want you to pay me a retainer and 20% of ad spend now. I don't know why people do these deals. Like they're so, now I'm trying to spend as much money as I can spend. And what are you trying to do? You're trying to reduce the amount of money that's spent by and large. Yeah, we talk about scale. We want to spend thousands a day if we got that ROI and stuff.
You become an expense.
Yes, you nailed it. If there is one root cause for all of this, like it's because we are an expense on their column. So do you think it'd be a good investment of our time right now to like go deeper into this root cause? And I'm not saying there's not a time and a place to have clients. I'm probably going out of order, but here's a time, in my opinion, here's the time and place to do it. 1, when you don't need the money. 2, when you're not going to be 100% or 95% responsible for the results. Those are the 2 times, just so I get that out in the open. That's not normally how it gets done, right? You guys can cogitate on that and debate me later on if you want to. That's totally cool. And I'm not saying there's not a time and a place to do that, right? But again, I think if you're the autonomous sort, you hate to be told what to do. You don't like serving a boss or a master or a client or anything like that. Like you don't want to do these kind of deals. You don't want to do the client underling relationship when you need the money. That's the worst time to do it, because then what happens, right? How many guys like have a talk with a prospect and they're like, you know what? You're so affordable. You're so damn affordable, right? So would you guys be okay to go a little bit deeper on this, like the other things here? Would you think it'd be worth our time to do that? Okay, let's just start out this way. I don't think we really hate serving the client once we have it. Something could be a pain. We have to cram it in. We're trying to figure out how do we get it done faster. But I think what's happening to a lot of us is that we hate chasing clients. We hate freaking chasing them. And it sucks having to chase clients. So let's talk about some of the ways that it sucks. What sucks about chasing and selling clients? Like what sucks about that? Why don't we just wake up? I can't wait. I can't wait to go chase me some clients and sell me some clients. I know there's some people that actually do love that, right? But I didn't see any big hands go up here. Nah, I'm out. But what sucks about chasing clients?
You feel like you're a beggar.
You feel like you're a beggar.
Yeah.
Yep. You feel like they're giving you something. And a lot of times they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm asking too much. Or they'll make you feel like, oh my, they do the negotiation flinch. Like, and we were already like lower than we thought we should be. But we feel like, oh, they're giving us something.
Or they're actually giving more than they're giving you, maybe.
Yeah. Or they say, you know what? You should do this work for a lot less, because if you do it for me, that's going to make you look good and you're going to get so many more clients. Does that make sense? So yeah, you feel like you're begging. That's not a good, that doesn't make me excited to get up and do more business. What's another thing that sucks?
Just getting the conversations started, because they're used to so many people approaching them all the time wanting to sell them stuff.
Wanting to sell them stuff. Let's just say cold outreach. How many of you guys have done a cold outreach in the past? When you're trying to get somebody to buy something and you're the seller, if you send out 100 cold outreach emails, what would you say? What do you think like a normal response rate would be after you send out 100 emails, right?
2 or 3% maybe?
Right. 2 or 3 people maybe respond back. And what kind of positioning do they have? Are they like happy to hear from us? Are they unskeptical? It fucking blows, man. Like it sucks, right? And then people make fun of us on the fucking Facebooks, like, oh, look at this jabroni trying to sell me something. But it comes from a good place, especially if we can help people, right? But how many of us, how many of us want to take on another expense? Not really. So that's kind of like where we run into that, right? So being that expense, oh, this guy's trying to get money from me. He's gonna be an expense, right? It's gonna be another expense. Now, maybe if they have a super present pain and they're just bleeding from the neck, right? You happen to be the ambulance driver coming by, right? They're not going to ask you that many questions, right? And that's what happens a lot of times. I think when we do these cold reaches, because they're laying in a ditch with their arms severed, and we just happen to come along at the right time, right? But we'll sit there and mentally masturbate over the messages, right? Oh, like, how can I make this word it better? What should my subject line be? It don't matter. What's happening is you're an ambulance, and the only time somebody's going to want an ambulance and pay you for an ambulance ride is when they're bleeding, right? Does that make sense? And that shit's no fun. Oh God, I got to go look for somebody bleeding, right? And usually, like, how many of us get on? We send out 100 outreach emails. We finally get on a call with somebody and they're broke, right? Because they're bleeding. They're broke. So we end up working with people that are trying to go from below average to average, or average to successful. And what we really want to do is we want to work the successful that want to be super freaking successful, right?
Just one thing about the ambulance. I crashed my bike about 3 years ago now, skinned myself up with road rash, got a concussion. And my neighbor wanted to take me to the hospital or call an ambulance, and I didn't want him to do it then.
I'll be all right. I'm going to go spray some Windex on it.
That's exactly what it seems like. You're only getting people when they're so desperate that there's no other answer except to answer your email or to take you to the hospital. That's the only time I would go to the hospital as well.
Dude, that's what I've experienced. Yeah, for sure. So why else does it suck?
I guess the whole dynamic of the offer of a sale with everything we're talking about is we're trying to use your metaphor, we're trying to take a piece of the pie that they already have. So we're working on the front end where everyone is competing for,
that's right,
where everyone is trying to make their money from, and just like lions on one carcass.
That's right. You're an expense. They've already got this money earmarked everywhere on this front end. And now they're like, okay, so if I'm going to spend money with this person, I want to know that he's the best out of the 5 people. And so I'm going to make him jump through hoops, right? How many guys love giving references and love like sending out your portfolios, right? It sucks, right? It's all because we're an expense. We're an expense, right? It's like, we can't even really blame people. Like, when we're on that expense side, right?
Another thing that sucks for me personally, I know that I'm trying to put myself on a hook. I'm trying to get myself into an obligation. And so I'm resistant because I know what it feels like to have, okay, great, their money hit my account. Now I got to work for them.
Now it's like, shit.
I hate that shit.
Yeah. Now it's, damn it. They said yes, right? They said yes. And now it really begins, right? Like, you want to see people get shitty, wait till after they give you some money, right? Okay, buddy, I own your ass now. And I'm not saying, I'm being a little bit facetious, but how many people felt like that? How many people had people like, oh, like now you're going to do this and you're going to do that and you're going to do this and you're going to do that, right? So what I usually say, there's probably 10 other reasons why this sucks, but let's start talking about how we cope with all the suckiness, right? One of the ways I see people cope with all the suckiness is they just stop doing any prospecting. They stop reaching out. And they hope for what? What do they end up hoping for? It starts with an R.
Referrals.
Referral. So we sit around, we're doing our best work, hoping for referrals. But there's a problem with that too. How easy is it to refer an expense?
But all this goes away with the Ronin offer.
We're getting to that for sure.
It almost, even with referrals though, like I haven't prospected for clients in years and I don't. But even when I was in demand and I had a waiting list and people would come to me and I would make them jump through all of the hoops to get to me, as soon as they paid me, they still have that same fucking thing. They own me.
Exactly.
And that person who you gave the great discount to because they're going to refer people, they're telling everybody what the price is as well. Oh yeah, I got it for 200. I bet you can too.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's say we go through all of this, right? And I don't want to go too far here, right? Because I really want to talk about just the suckiness of chasing clients, because there's a whole nother suckiness of actually after you have the client, right? But let's just talk about the suckiness of getting the clients, right? After you go through all this, maybe you get, let's say you get a little stable of 10 clients paying you $2,000 to $5,000 a month on that. To them, they're like, they keep sending you a PayPal of $2,000 a month, or maybe there's some auto debit, right? They keep writing their American Express bill and they keep seeing that ding, that Travis Sago. What has he done for me lately? Every time that, that credit card, like, how's he doing? All of a sudden they get a call. Oh, it's my brother-in-law. I wonder what the hell he wants. Oh, hey, Jim Bob. Oh, you started an ad agency? Oh, you just want to get going? You're going to give me the brother-in-law discount? You $500 a month? That Travis Sago, man, he's charging me $2,000 a month. Let me get back to you. Hey, Travis, I've got somebody real close to me in the business and they're offering to do it for $500 a month. Can you meet that? Everybody's got one of those calls, something similar. I just can't afford you anymore. Can we come down the price? Or just, hey, I've got somebody else to do that, right? Our longevity as an expense, are people trying to figure out how to get more expenses or how to eliminate expenses?
Eliminate.
Yeah. They got their credit card bill. They're like, okay, I do this myself. Like, when did we use this software last? Right? Can I put this on pause? Can I we're looking at those expenses, right? So if it being an expense on the expense column is a root issue of all of our problems. You guys see that? If that's really it's not how awesome we are, how many references we have, or how much referrals we have, or how awesome we are at running ads. That's what's causing all these issues. The 1,001 Eli Goldratt used to call these UDIs, undesirable effects. These the whack-a-moles we have to whack down all the time, every day, and we get so exhausted when all we have to do is unplug the fucking machine, right? If we just unplug it, the moles stop popping up, right? But if being on the expense side is the root cause of the problem, like, what do you think the solution is there? What would be the solution to that?
You want to be a profit center.
Would it be on the
Being
profit
paid on results
center, right? Not even pay on results. It's terminology we use, right? We just want to go right down to we have expenses and we have paychecks, right? It's like we've got our income and our outgo, right?
You want to be part of the income.
We want to be part of the income. We want to be viewed as a paycheck, what more than we want to be viewed as an expense, right? Somebody expand on that.
You're a source of revenue.
Yeah. So if we're a source of revenue, like how many people where can I cut off my revenue today?
None.
If we have a source of revenue, what we normally do is how can we make that revenue bigger? Wow, this guy's really crushing it for me. I wonder what else they could do. What else? What else would change? If we were a paycheck, what else would change? How would getting leads change? Go ahead, Travis.
I was just going to say you're in control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that feel good? Do you think we'd be out there saying, hey, I've got a paycheck for a lot of you? Does that feel better? Hey, I would like to give you money. We changed our positioning from being a seller of selling our stuff to being a buyer or an investor. Example I was using in the Ronin group. Let's say I'm a real estate investor and I am willing to pay over 50% above market value on a home as long as it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, it has an acre of land, and it's somewhat close to a lake. Does that change the game at all? I'm willing to pay 50% more than what everybody else. I just got to find a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1 acre by the lake. Tell me how that might change some things.
People are going to feel good about referring you now. They want to refer you.
You're going to be the only call.
That's right. People are going to feel good about referring you, right? In Ronin, I put in a referral mojo, right? And it's not the magic of the copywriting fucking words that makes referral mojo work. It's, hey, I've got this nut. He's willing to pay 50% over market value. If you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1 acre close to the lake, right? You got to get in touch with him, right? How does that make the referrer? Does that make them look good? Oh yeah, it makes them look good. You know what you probably won't see? You probably won't see, hey, I've got this flat fee real estate agent that you pay him up front, and then he promises you to go find a house. He's gonna sell your house. Nobody's gonna refer that. Hey, this guy takes a $5,000 upfront commission before he'll even work with you, and then you got to pay him every month. But he's really got a really good track record of selling houses. No, that's tough as shit. Let me ask you this. If I'm paying 50% over market value, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and 1 acre close to the lake, do you think I'm going to do all the research and start cold emailing these people onesie, twosie? Now, if I find a place that I really like, if I'm just driving by it or I see it, right, and I'm close by to it, I might swing in there and knock on their door with full fucking confidence, right? Hey, I don't know if you're planning on selling, but I would like to pay you way more than market value, right? But you're not going to be shy about it because you're not knocking on the door saying, give me money. But more than likely, I'm not going to do that. Why not? Why wouldn't I do that? What else am I going to do instead of that?
Real estate agents.
I'm going to go find a real estate agent. Right?
Yeah. The influencer or influencers.
And because I have a superior offer of paying 50% more, and I know exactly what I want, you think that real estate agent is going to be more willing to work with me or less willing to work with another investor who's not sure what they want and they want to pay 50% below market value? Because that's what most investor wants. And then the real estate agents are like, oh, I got another fucking investor here. Thinks he's going to get something for 50, 60% off market, right? Does that make sense? The whole game changes when we go from being an expense to a paycheck. We get rid of that core reason that we call them getting partners rather than getting clients, because that's the way we structure it. We want a partner relationship. But when we come in as a buyer or an investor, guess what happens to our cold outreach if we do cold outreach anymore? I had this saying, I said the 2 people that do cold outreach are a brand new newbie and they're super experienced and do exactly what they want. Those are the people who do cold outreach, right? In between, not so much. But I pick and choose who I want to work with if I want to work with them, right? Guess what? When you're coming as a buyer or an investor, if we were doing 1% to 3% before, if we sent out 100 We probably would never send out 100 anymore because we'd just be too busy. But if we send out 10 outreaches as a buyer or investor, whether it's to onesie, twosie, or to what I call influencers of influencers, guess what kind of response rates we typically get back? Somebody was already talking around this at one point.
3 or 4 at least. I know it.
I would cry. I would go and have Jeannie kick me right in the man parts if I got 3 or 4%.
No, sorry. Out of 10, 3 or 4. So it's 30.
Oh, 3 or 4. Yeah, 30 or 40. Yeah. Okay, now
out of 10.
You saved me some pain there, my friend. You saved me some pain, right? Yeah.
Yeah. With the little message that Tony gave me to send out for cold outreach, 3 out of 3 that I've used it for have come to a conversation.
Yes.
You want to share that, Jim?
It's the secret's not the copywriting, guys. Mm-hmm. The secret is not the copywriting. The secret is knowing exactly what you want. This is where we make the biggest mistakes, and we can't copy and paste. What works for one person is not going to work for the other person. So we need to be if we are an investor, it's the biggest challenge. We're going to talk about challenges to this here in a minute, because it's not all sunshine and roses. The biggest challenge I have with people is shifting over from a seller, a pick me mindset, to I'm the chooser, and an investor and buyer mindset. But when we're super specific, that means we have to do research to see. It would be horribly inefficient just to start knocking or making cold calls to everybody saying, hey, do you live by the lake? You got a 1 acre, 3-bedroom, 2-bath? No, it's gonna be horribly fucking inefficient. So by me like reading my prospective partner's book, understanding what their mission is, why he's different, why I like this person fundamentally as a person, and I believe in their mission and what they're doing is aligned with me. I've got all these things. So when I have a conversation with them, they're like, oh my God, this dude's fucking checking me out. He's done his homework. That enough is impressive enough, right? Holy crap. And then he's not wanting any money from me. He's actually going to add value. He's going to give me something, like he's going to allow me to collaborate with somebody that might help me, or he's got a network of people that can bring more customers to me, right? So when we go in with a give on that, right? Like typical 40% to 100% cold outreach once you get your investor legs on, right? And I'm not saying that's always easy, because we want to still shotgun this thing. Let's just shotgun, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, paste, right? And then we get blew up, right? People get mad, right? We don't check out their profiles. We don't check out what they're about, right? That's usually what people get mad about on the cold, is like, hey, are you in business? If you took 5 seconds to check out it ain't gonna work. Does that make sense? But when we come out with an investor stance, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1 acre, close to the lake, preferably within a mile, but that's my give, and I'm willing to do this for it, right? Changes the game when it comes to just getting a partner. We call it a first date, but after we get on the first date, guess who does the choosing most of the time on a first date? Guess who usually ends the date early, or says we're not going to do a second date? The Ronin do, the partner, the person taking on the risk, right, gets to do all the rulemaking, and we get to do the choosing, right? What happens when we start bringing people paychecks? We got to bring them. Tony just did a campaign, like 225,000, right? His end was 40% of that, somewhere around there.
243,000 total.
204. Thank you. 243. I was trying to get lower, so like I didn't overdo it. Do you think they want to do any more business with them?
They've booked me for the next 24 months.
There you go. And so you made 80 grand off that right away. Like how many $2,000 a month clients you got to get to make 80 grand, right? So the thing is, we don't need a lot of partners, right? So we can get off this fucking treadmill of chasing clients, right? I'm not saying it's not going to take a few first dates, right? But we get those clients and we just figure out more. How can I do more and more for this person? Being a paycheck. What's the secret to being a paycheck? Somebody already mentioned it here. I can't remember who it was. Somebody smart. What's the secret from moving as an expense over to the paycheck? side.
Being a source of revenue.
Okay, but how do we do that?
Risk-free offers?
What was that, Leandro?
Risk-free proposals, risk-free offers?
That's a risk-free proposal, right? Which is good, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be a paycheck.
Okay, yeah.
And what Dean also said, you're going to be a source of revenue, right? But fundamentally, how do we do that, right? Because we could be a source of revenue if they were just paying us a retainer to write emails, right? But why do they not view us as a source of revenue if they don't hire us to do emails?
We only get a percentage of sales that we generate.
Okay.
They want new revenue, a new source, a new stream.
Yes. It's a secret of found money. It's a secret of found money. I don't want to, if I get even the whiff of something that I'm talking about with a partner, they're planning on doing it on their own, I'm out. Like, hey, if you guys want to do this on your own, totally get it. Why don't you guys do it? And if it works out great, awesome. If it doesn't work out great, then give me a call. But we want to be a source of found money for folks. If we're found money, right? I always use this example. It's somewhat junior high, like most of my examples, right? But if I go to Travis and I say, hey, dude, I know you're baking a pie tonight for your family, but I would like to bake it for you, right? How big of a slice can I get? Fuck off, man. I'm going to make the pie, or my wife's going to make the pie. We don't know what the hell you're going to do. But if I come in and I look through Travis's kitchen, I'm like, dude, you got all the stuff here to make a pie. Do you like apple pie? Do you like homemade baked steaming hot apple pie? What kind of ice cream do you like on it? Like, you've got all the stuff here, right? If I get the stuff, I'll go home and bake it for you and bring you a pie that you, right? Would you give me half of it? He's like, yes, I would. Like, how many more of those can you get? I gotta watch my waistline, right? But like, how many more of those can you give me? So I always said, we want to bake new pie. Where can we bake new pie? It's easy, so easy to get 50% of a new pie, and murderous hell trying to get even a crumb or a sliver off of a pie that they're planning on eating right now. The pie that they're planning on eating right now is the expense side, the brand new found money pie, right? They're like, please, where you been all my life? And kind of the secret to this, and I'm throwing the word secret around a lot, but it's really not much known. The secret to this is successful people that want to go super successful. No, there's 100 things that they could be doing with their resources, and they've only got time to do 3. Now, I'm not saying to go do all 97, right? But it's extremely easy to go find found money for somebody. Now, this is the words that we use. We do not use these words. You can, and it'll work, right? If they're sophisticated, but this is not really in their world. They're not thinking about trash can assets and underutilized assets. That's our thing, right? We want to get into, what are they trying to do? What's their mission, right? We should I already know their mission before I even have a talk with them. But what's important to them? How are they trying to spread the word? How are they trying to go from successful to being super successful? And they just don't have enough hands to spin the plates in the air to do it, right? So if I'm talking about direct mail, right, and they have 30,000 or 40,000 buyers on a direct mail list, but they're not sending them out, I don't say, oh, underutilized asset, warning, found money alert. No, because it's going to not make them feel good most of the time. And say, great, tell me a little about your email list. What's your open rates on that? 10%? Okay. And what'd you do revenue-wise out of that 10%? $1 million. Interesting. So you did $1 million in revenue on that email with 90% of the people not seeing it. What do you think would happen if we drop a letter in all their mailboxes and like way more than the 10% got to see it? Do you think we'd make any money on that? Yes, I think we would. Do you guys have any plans on doing that? No. How come? We don't know what to send them. We don't know how to mail. We don't want to pay out the boat. We don't take all the risk. I got an idea, right? I'm just using this as one example that I like to play with. There's literally, again, there's 97 things, right, that a successful person can do to be super successful, make their business super successful. Does that make sense? But the entire game changes because now we got a partner. I've had partners, I brought them so much money. They're like, dude, I literally called my mom I've never made that much money before. We work with partners for years and they don't want to turn us loose, right? Usually I got to be the one that turns like, hey, buddy, we're not going to be doing this anymore, right? Or working this niche anymore. Like I got out of all my weight loss niches. It just bored me, right? Does that make sense? So we're not, now if you love chasing clients, it's not going to be a thing for you because you at some point you're going to have a waiting list. And you're going to be booked up for months and months, right? One partner is going to tell other, it's easy to refer somebody's going to bring you a paycheck and there's no risk. It's easy to do that. They want to do that. They don't want to lose their paycheck, right? Does that make sense? Any thoughts on this while I check my notes here?
It works. I'm living it.
So I get really excited about stuff sometimes. So I always like to make sure that I rub some shiny off and dial it back a little bit. And we talk about some of the challenges to this, right? And there are some of the big challenges, and some of you guys my Ronin already running into this, right? Is detaching from our obsession with our win-loss ratio and making, when the coin comes up the wrong way, making it mean something about us, right? So we end up getting attached to a deal when we want to be detached from it, right? We want to be detached from the deal, but our old client chasing comes, this could be a big deal. It could be awesome. And that screws up everything. It screws up our Zoom talks, our coffee chats, right? Because they can feel that attachment. They can feel that neediness come out, right? I'm usually trying to talk them out of it. Now, I don't want people to try to sell like me because I've had a lot of practice and experience with it. But usually I go into it saying, hey, I like you already. I'm going to tell you all the pain in the ass shit about working with me. And if we're still talking at the end, maybe we should look at something, right?
Can I do a little confession around this attachment?
Go ahead, Jenna.
So yeah, I brought somebody with 150,000 person email list to a call with Tony, and the person definitely has a scarcity mindset. They viewed more sales as a problem, got really afraid of the 50% because it felt like they got micro focused on that. But yeah, I was like really pissed off about it for a few days, running through all these fantasy conversations about what I wanted to tell him and all this shit. But now, fortunately, it's been a few weeks, so I'm to the point where it's funny. And I did go through all the scenarios of what if we said this or what if we did that? Then that puts us back in the same game, and they would be a pain in the ass for sure. If they couldn't see that deal, they would have been a pain in the ass. But I was definitely attached for a bit. And the positive side is I was like, okay, fuck you. I'm going to go find some deals. And that's even, I posted in the group the first time, I'm going to find a fucking home run deal for Tony. God damn it. That's what I'm going to do.
That's awesome. I really appreciate it. I just love how open you are and bring that to the table. But that is one of the challenges, right? We try to get into convincing mode. We try to convince people. I view it, and I'm not trying to be like, hey, look at me. But when somebody has a problem with that, I'm like, yay, we got that out of the way really fucking quick. Now, I realize that some of it is what I call a MUFP problem, most useful focus problem. It's natural for when you start talking about a percentage, we'll focus to go to that percentage. So we want to pull back and talk about what both our line goals are, which is bring you the biggest piece of income or biggest piece of pie that I possibly can. The worst thing that I could fucking do to you is take a piece that's too small, because then I don't want to grow the income stream. The second worst thing I could do to you is take a piece that's too big, because then you don't have enough room to make this a win for you. And usually what they say at that point is like, why don't we just do it 50-50?
That's on Marcus's call where he posted the recording that you pinned. Marcus call he said that specifically to this client.
I wonder where he got that from.
Yeah, I wondered too.
But it is a challenge, right? And I just want to be fully transparent. Like, you're not just going to walk in and learn to ride that bike from me just telling you. It's going to take some, hey, let's realign your focus. Hey, let's balance here. Let's get back on there. The other challenge we have, and you're going to, if you're shooting this on your own, but even like right now, we've got some really big deals that could possibly pop in the group. right? And they don't know how to structure them. So we want to structure these deals in a way we're not going to get screwed. And so when we're taking on all the risk, right, we want to, it's not by pretty words, right? I don't toot my own horn, but you need to have a kind of a hand that's been through these deals to know what to look for to go in and how to ease your way into these on a first date, right? How to get paid, when to get paid, to make sure you don't get screwed, right? The biggest, a lot of times I tell people that, oh, you're just talking about doing rev share deals. No, this is way different than just doing rev share deals. Way, way different. That's just, I can't think of a good analogy right now, right? But that's like saying, because you have eyes, you're a human. No, there's a lot of other subsets there, right? But I had a couple slow pays during COVID, right? But I've never been screwed out of a dime. Never been screwed out of a dime, right? Because of the way that we go into these, and I test their behaviors, not what they say. I test their behaviors. I get out quickly. If somebody seems like they're in scarcity mode, like I can't possibly do 50%, I might say, hey, just want to check here. You'd rather have 100% of a grape than 50% of a watermelon, right? It's an old Myron Golden saying, right? If they can't, I'm out. Like, perfectly understand, right? In my mind, like I got little Travis on my shoulder. In my mind, I'm like, enjoy 100% of nothing, right? Because they're never going to get to it, right? But how do you structure these so you don't get screwed is a challenge, right? On these things. This is the other big one, and probably the one that is the most pervasive. I'm going to use a little metaphor. I use this in the Ronin group, but I want to use a little metaphor with you guys. Let's say we're going to set up a company where we just place vending machines, right? We're going to place vending machines in high traffic areas, and we don't want to do any of the work, right? So we're going to go maybe outside of a corporate place. We're going to see what kind of vending machines that they have. And maybe as people are there at the vending machines, we say, what would you buy if they had that machine here? And maybe they say a sandwich. Now, I would really like to get some hot sandwiches and cold sandwiches because I'm tired of all the candies here or whatever, right? The thing that I have to sometimes, like, I'm trying to think of the right word, remind and guide Ronin from is it's not our job to now all of a sudden go manufacture the vending machine, to go make the sandwiches, right? To stock the sandwiches. That's not our job, right? What we want to do is we want to look for distribution. We want to look for traffic. Then we want to find out what that traffic is buying, put the vending machine there and get everybody else to do the work, which means we have to have margins that work, right? Again, we got to have 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1 acre, close to the lake, right? But we just want to place that vending machine, work out a deal, a risk-free proposal with the person that owns the building, right? The laundromat or whatever building it is with its high traffic. Say, look, if I put a machine here and I paid all the expenses, would you split profits with me 50%, right? Or whatever the percentage. I was saying 50% is not a magical number. Sometimes you want 50%, sometimes you don't, right? Sometimes 10% is a number you can get fucking rich off of, right? Because you're not having to do anything, right? I'd much rather, I call it Marilyn Monroe money. I'd much rather have a dime of Marilyn Monroe money than a dirty ass Danny DeVito dollar, right? Where I got to put my sweat, blood, and tears in there. I'd much rather have that dime, right? But we want to place the machines and get our percent and then get everybody else to do the, so we don't want to manufacture the machine. But here's the thing. Once we have distribution, we have the tail that wags the dog. We have the tail that wags the dog. If I go to a sandwich vending machine company and say, hey, I represent a company that gets 2,000 people foot traffic every single day. Their candy machine is doing, I'm just making up numbers, 25 grand a week. I just did a poll and I got 100 people that said they would buy sandwiches if they were there. Would you be open to discussing this? Now, what kind of like reply rate do you think you're going to get on that?
High.
The 50% to the 100%, right? You see how this changes the game, right? And now that you've got the sandwiches, now you can go to a vending machine place, a used one, a refurbished one, a new one, and you can work out a deal with them, right? You can work out terms, or in this low interest rate environment, do you think you could get somebody else to front the capital. You might even get the corporate guy that owns the damn thing to front you the capital for it, right? There's all kinds of ways to structure the deal, right? Hey, what are you earning on your money right now? I can get this machine for $1,500, right? I need the startup funds. Or maybe you could go to the people in the office coming by and do pre-sales. Hey, if I give you a pass for $1,000 worth of sandwiches for $500, would you take me up on that? And you're going to get people, you can pre-sell stuff, but getting distribution and understanding the deal, understanding the big picture is all you need. But it's a challenge for people because they're like, okay, now where do I make the sandwiches? I got to make a good sandwich. What's the process for making sandwiches? Could anybody tell me the process for making sandwiches? What kind of sandwiches do you want to make? Damn, I don't know. And they try to figure out everything on their own that doesn't have anything to do with locating the machine in a hot spot and getting a good deal. Go ahead, Fabricio.
Hi, how are you? This is exactly what's happening to me right now. I got a partner where I keep selling those books. Actually, I'm now, since a few days ago, in Amazon. And we sold already like 3,000 copies with her audience. I didn't spend a dime on advertisement and not planning to, because there is a lot of milk to take from there. But now the problem is, what else can I do to this big audience that I already have book buyers? I'm thinking, let's create a membership. We got, let's say, 500,000, 200,000 on TikTok, 400,000 on the other social platforms, podcasts. Let's do a membership, $10 a month. If we can get 1,000 people to pay, but it will be like 10,000 recurrent revenue. But the thing is, she doesn't have a proven method to someone. She's more like a motivator, a motivational speaker. She doesn't have a process to create a course or something. So I'm struggling putting something together because I have nothing to sell. I actually didn't sell a sponsorship on the book yet because I didn't have the time to reach someone. Now I'm trying to do an audiobook, all that kind of stuff, but still in the low revenue issue, let's say. But I see a lot of potential, and I'm trying to find like the vending machine. It's like I have the place.
You just need candy in there. Why does it matter where the candy comes from? If she doesn't want to give the candy, why can't you get the candy somewhere else?
I don't know what kind of candy to get. She's protective.
Think about the thing I just told you. I'm standing outside in front of those vending machines that are already there, and I'm polling the people that come by. Hey, what would you eat or drink if it was here? Sandwiches. So I would test that idea first, take those 3,000 buyers and say, thank you so much. You got this. I was curious if you would like to get this benefit. Nobody wants to join a membership site.
Yeah.
And you do an informal poll. If out of those 3,000 people, 3 people say, okay, yeah, then I probably wouldn't run with it. Does that make sense? But let's say that you get 100 people. Now you've got the tail that wags the dog. You can go find another person that has the candy and say, hey, I've got 3,000 people that purchase this book, and 100 of them would like to run a membership, but would like to get help here. And I see you have a membership site for that, right? What do they want? They want to get more customers. They want to get more reach. Does that make sense? So just go find your candy somewhere else.
Yeah, it's tough because she wants to do it. She doesn't know how to do it. She's not gonna let someone else. Maybe she brings help into kind of relationship, help on auto-esteem or self-esteem.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of membership sites, big ticket coaching stuff. You would not believe, I was in that area for years. There's $25,000, $50,000 coaching programs, right?
Yeah, but it have to be in Spanish. She's in the.
This is good things. You keep saying this like this is bad things. That's a good thing that it has to be in Spanish.
Okay, whatever.
Because you just limited. If you can find a relationship coach that speaks Spanish, right? Like they're going to stand out more. Does that make sense? That could be one of your biggest benefits. Severity's not here today, or at least if he is, I don't see his face, but I always pick on him. He does Ronin deals. Like he's a young kid. He does these really big Ronin deals. But when he first came to me, I'm in Finland and my accent doesn't go well in the US. I'm like, why in the hell are you trying to get in the US? Why don't you stick in the why don't you stick in Finland in your area? Because that's not big enough. And I did a little bit of Googling, right? Don't go off what you think. Never go off what you think. I should say, Travis, don't you go off what you think. Get fucking data. I did a little bit of Googling and some companies in Finland. There was like right down the street from him almost. There's a $10 million SaaS company. There's like a whole bunch of, it's like SaaS is really big in Finland. And he's doing deals hand over fist because he's the only person that speaks Finnish that are doing these kind of deals. So sometimes what we think is tough is actually our biggest advantage, but we just have little Travis on our shoulder saying, it's not gonna work, right? Nobody thought you could put a man on the moon. Nobody thought you could put this much computing power, more computing power than it was in the 1970s in the palm of your hand. Nobody thought you could nuke up a potato in 6 minutes, which is still too long for me. So sometimes what we think is hard is what actually makes it easy, makes it much easier. It's much easier to buy a house when you know exactly what you want. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1 acre by the lake, right? Now our mind just wants to say, oh, there's none of those available. But when we do some actual data and we get out there, right, we might find that it works pretty well. But if you got 3,000 buyers and you get 100 people to raise their hands and say, we want some of this, now you've got all the leverage in the world to go out to somebody, hey, I've got buyers, they all speak Spanish, or we're looking for a relationship advice coach that has a membership or maybe a more intensive type program that you can help them with. Would you be open to discussing that? Yes. You're going to get people say yes all the time. And you just have those talks with them. Does that make sense? And I know you're not doing this, but what you don't want to do is say, oh, I want to be a relationship coach now, or force your partner to do stuff that they don't want to do.
That's what I'm doing. I'm forcing her to do that,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that. I prepared I did the invitation because I'm planning to send the email, hey, who wants help in self-esteem? We opening next week a coaching.
Nobody wants help in self-esteem. Trust me.
No, I just give you a fake example, but it's not going to be that. Yeah. Who wants to be blah, blah, blah. And then next week, we opening a call. Every Monday, we're going to do a call. I'm trying to sell access to her, not even a solution, a transformation. I just want to do a Q&A with her, and because they want to be accessed, they want to talk to her.
But you might as well be asking her for 500 grand. We want to view all the timer stuff as an expense. If all of a sudden you become an expense on her energy side, she's not going to keep doing business. So don't do that.
The problem with her is she doesn't have any bandwidth to do it. She says, I don't know how to do it. I'm tired.
Perfect. I know you've got lots of plates in the air. Here's an idea I have. Why don't we go find somebody that you really like, and I'll get them to do it. And you just keep you keep the money, you keep a portion for just having the audience, and we'll solve their problem. Because you just have too many plates in the air to help them solve their problem. But otherwise, these people are just going to sit there with their problem. They're never going to get it solved. So make it about the problem that our people has. Does that make sense? I'm going to go off the rails here for a little bit. But one of the biggest things, another challenge that we have in the Ronin, right, is we think money is the only motherfucking thing that matters. We can make much better deals if we understand there's a lot more than just money going on. Money is a means to an end. It's not the end itself. Money is boring. It's little pictures of dead fucking presidents. Most of the money smells funny, right? It's been in somebody's wallet, near their ass. Like I figured the amount of like cocaine particles that are on every bill, right? But it's not very fucking exciting. We want the money for another reason. Right now, a lot of the reasons people want to expand their reach, they want to expand their impact, they want to help more people, right? All these things can be deal points, right? They want a better reputation, right? All these kind of things. So all these things can be deal points. Like very often, like you can get people to provide the candy for free if you just give them the customers. So you go to somebody that's maybe they got $1,000 course sitting on their shelf, right? Maybe they're willing to do a Q&A call every month. You say, hey, I'd like to sell more of that. We'd like you to keep the customer. But the only way it's going to work for us, right, is if we retain 100% of the revenue, right? But you're going to get the customer. You're going to get a big name promoting you and endorsing you, right? Everybody that, even if people don't buy, they're going to know your name. So there's all kinds of deal points that we overlook because we're just hyper-focused on what's the percentage, what's the dollars coming out, right? Does that make sense? Is that helpful for anybody? Like you're
Absolutely.
Mastery of making deals. If we just get past that, the only reason people are doing something is for the money, like we can find more different terms, different ways to bring things. We'll ask better questions, what's important to them, right? If we know somebody's getting ready to sell their business, it's not that they want a big old fucking check, right? They may want to retire, right? How much money do you need for retirement, right? I've been making 20 grand with a month at the site and everything, right? And if you're looking at it, how often are you emailing it? Once a month? What do you, right? You can say, holy crap, I'm gonna make a lot more than 20 grand. You can say, I got an idea. What if I just paid you 20 grand a month and you didn't have to do anything? That way you could have the money that you needed, right? That's what you were making anyways. Does that make sense? And then of course, I'm not gonna get into all the structuring and the terms and how you do that here, but right, you can leave yourself an escape in case that it doesn't pan out. But if you're making 100 grand a month, taking it over, right, you're gonna have a problem paying them 20 grand a month. You can put a cap on it, right? Like you can do all kinds of different stuff. I just need 20 grand a month until my Social Security kicks in. When does that kick in? 10 years or 5 years, right? Whatever it is. So if you understand more behind what's going on, right? Hey, I just want to take I just want 50 grand so I can take my wife on this amazing Maui vacation where we get the villa, and maybe you go work a deal with a villa, right? And you can triangulate these kind of things, does that make sense? So if we find out what they want to do with the money, if we find out what's important to them other than the money, like our mastery, our Ronin, it goes up to Shogun level. We become Shogun, right? So we rise up on that, if that makes sense. But it is a challenge. If you guys would like to get through these challenges together, I know a lot of you guys are already Ronin. I think everybody on the screen, pretty much. Anybody on the screen not a Ronin? Oh, Steve, like you need to be Ronin, dude. See, I have no problem saying it. You need to be Ronin. You're super smart.
You really do, Steve.
You've got the experience. But if you guys would like to do that, I've got a virtual tour set up, some case studies, and I'll get you some more details. Don't buy it. Don't worry. Don't buy it today. But it's travissago.com/Ronin. If you don't know how to spell my name, then I don't want you in there. Just kidding. travissago.com/Ronin. If you guys would like more details and get some case studies and such like that, I would love to get them over to you. Don Wilson got his hand up. I bet he's tired. Don Wilson, I brought you in, man. Any questions on this? Is a super important topic for me. I know it's not about me, but if I had a wish, it would be that none of you got sick. None of your family members got sick. I would wish that, right? And you just go do whatever. But the facts of it is like 25%, I think it's higher for men, will become disabled in one form or fashion for a certain amount of time or other before they're 65 or before their retirement age. There's insurances you can get to take care of it. But like, I want to have revenue that's coming in regardless if I have to go do shit for it or not. I want to have my vending machines out there. I want to have everything set up, right? And by the way, it's called royalty, Ronin. Royalties with IP are way less moving parts and way more lucrative than trying to figure out a vending machine. I've got people that pay me for royalties based on the amount of people in their groups, and it's lovely every month. Bing, another check. Bing, another check. Bing, another check, right? Because we want to rent out. We don't want to sell. We want to rent out our intellectual property, right? We're going to rent it out. And intellectual property can be as simple as a Google document, right? We work up a Google document. It's the vending machine inside of the flow, right? And we work out a deal structure. We don't want to create the candy. We don't want to manufacture the machine. We don't want to stock the machine, right? Right now, I'm part of one of the case studies I'm going to do. You guys in Ronin already seen part of it. But I really like school. I'm going to get behind school in a big way. I'm going to show you how I'm going to work some Ronin to get inside of traffic flows and sell school, right? And just build up that school. I always believe that if you guys have passive cash flow mojo, which you guys got in the Ronin, but you want to I always say bet on the jockey, not on the horse, right? Tools can come and go, but you want to look at the jockey behind it. So I like Sam Ovens. And you'll probably end up selling it once you get to a certain level, but he does a good job with it, right? He's doing really great. I believe in it, 40% recurring, right? So I'm just going to go put that in flow. The candy is school, right? The candy is community. The candy is the ability to put videos into the Candy is one of the best conversion tools that I've ever found, right? But I'm going to go put that in the flows, right? Put it in the flows. Sam delivers the goods. Sam stocks the goods, right? And he just cuts me a check for 40% in perpetuity on everybody that goes through there, right? Guys, there are so many fucking SaaS out there right now. If you have a software that you like, if you have a jockey behind that software that you like you can go set up these deals, let the software company do all the goddamn work, right? And you just figure out different flows to put it in, right? Does that make sense? You can put it inside of, we're kicking ass just going and getting sponsorships right now. Super cheap, getting sponsorships, super cheap. Put them inside. Once we work those deals out, I'll get in their flow even more, right? So this is really cool things that we can do. We can bundle with people's products, right? I tell this story all the time, but there's a guy named Michael Webb, did millions of dollars by bundling his 1001 date or 101 creative date ideas into every single relationship product out there, right? Hey, you want to add this? Nobody had it. It solved the problem for people. And he had his links back to his site, affiliate links in there. And he just had people out there go and put that in the traffic areas of everybody's buyer traffic, right? So they would bundle it in. Bundling is super, super powerful. So powerful, it's what Microsoft did. Everybody gives Bill Gates props for like paying 50 grand for software he didn't own. That wasn't the most genius shit that he did. The most genius shit that he did is he got IBM to give him distribution, and he got all the customer data, and he got permission to market to all those customers, and he did it non-exclusive so he could go out and do it with other people. That's what really put him on the map. All of a sudden, one day he didn't have any distribution. Next day he's going out on every IBM computer made. I don't know if you're like me, some of you young guys are a little different, but Jim, you probably were back in the 80s and right. I don't remember the computer that I was on, but I remember that goddamn Windows 90 or that DOS thing popping up with the Windows 95 splash screen all the time. Like you knew what that was because he was in front of you all the time. He was in front of Flow. Windows 95, Windows 95, Windows 95. Sometimes you just wanted to smash Windows 95 through the face because it blue screen on you. But I don't remember what computers I had, but I remember Windows 95. That was the most ingenious shit that he did. He's a master Ronin. He's a shogun, the shogun on how he does that stuff. So we can do this on a small level too, because most of us, I think, could probably get by off 20 grand a month income pretty easily. That's just a couple deals. That's 2 or 3 deals. Then we can figure out, do we want to do more deals? Do we want to hang out at the pool? Do we want to go make Jeannie some breakfast? Do I want to go figure out how to make an omelet? Because I didn't know how to do any of that shit. Does that make sense?
100%.
Awesome. What questions you guys got? We can talk about other stuff too if you guys want to, but if you guys don't get help through Ronin, just solving it out through clients isn't the only way. Figure out how to go get partners and do risk-free deals and be found money. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
Yeah, the things that I just notice about myself. I worked in corporate America for 28 years and was raised in a work your ass off for a small amount of money thing, and just being transparent, just the rethinking I think one of the things I posted is I have a much better bullshit detector than I ever had as to when I'm actually screwing myself over with my old habits and my old patterns and stuff. And so to me, that's like one of the biggest things here. And I won't mention names, but on one of your previous calls, there was somebody who had a lot of resistance and a lot of, I just don't trust people. I got to take money up front. And it's over and over. I'm just like, oh, I'm glad I've let go of that one at least.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there's no challenges getting partners and being a Ronin, but the challenges are way like is there no challenges on getting clients? And we just went through all those challenges, right? Like it changes there's no white knuckling your way through life anymore. You just don't have to white knuckle it. You don't have to say yes to things you don't want to say no to. Like when your quote unquote sales calls are really like, hey, here's the upside that I see, right? Now I don't know for sure, but this could be possible upside. Here's the downside that I see, right? And I'm going to try to take care of all this downside that I can. The only downside that you'd have right now is your reputation if this didn't, those kind of things. But having an open conversation, like nobody does that. Nobody says, hey, let me tell you about the shitty things about working with me. And I'm not saying for you guys that that would be your style or nature, but that's really, hey, let's see if there's any upside here. If there is some upside, then let's have a real frank discussion on the downside to this, on your side and to my side. Does that sound like a reasonable way to proceed with this? If at any time you don't see the upside, you see too much downside potential, please let me know. And at the same time, if I don't see the upside potential or there's too much downside potential, I'm going to let you know. Are we cool? Like that's all it is, right? People aren't used to people talking to them like that. Like, what the fuck's going on? And you can see people relax because you relax. You're not trying to say, oh, I'm better than this other guy, right? Oh, here's my references, right? I've got brand new kids that get into comparatively me, brand new kids that get in this business, right? With no references, no credibility, right? But because they're taking on the risk, I was like, well, I'm not going to do anything with this. This kid's probably an idiot, but let them try, right? And they go in and they make them some money. They don't need all the references and shit, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, just on that piece about the white knuckling through life, I can legitimately say that these last 3 weeks have been like the most stress-free consecutive weeks that I can fucking remember. No question. It's just, I'm not bringing pressure to conversations. And so it's not there, because just realizing just like that selling to people dynamic, like it's just got so much inherent pressure built into it. And it just literally, my whole fucking life is different just because of that reduction in stress.
That's awesome, Jim. If that's all I did, I'd be happy with the rest of my life, right? That's what, this really isn't about money for me. It really is about, somebody said in the group, oh, Travis is going to help make thousands of millionaires or whatever. I have no interest in helping 1,000 people become millionaires. It'd be cool if it happened, right? What I do have an interest in, and forgive me if I say this wrong, but like, I lived a lot of my life as a motherfucking slave. I was in the Navy for 6 years. I got some great things out of it. Don't get me wrong, right? I pulled out of that, right? But man, I had hives on my arms. I'm not just blaming the circumstances, because part of it was but I had hives on my arms. I smoked 2 packs a day. I drank too much. I yelled at my wife. Like, I wasn't a very super awesome guy to be around, right? Because it's stressful as fuck trying to be an expense on somebody's column and having to justify your existence, not only from a lead perspective, but on a day-to-day perspective. Even when you're kicking ass, right? They're like, oh, what have you done for me lately? If you wanted a raise, it was like, holy fuck, what the hell? And it's all caused by being on the expense side. The minute I had the revelation of changing, like, I just got to be a paycheck to people, right? I've got to bring them money they never would have had before, or take something off their plate that they don't like. And I want to trade that to get their distribution, right? You guys hear me talk about this till I'm blue in the face, but it was the first times I did this with the printing up the menus for Bob Manson at the barbecue place with all the people that do his carryout menu. And I had my Dish Network ad on the back, right? I swear to God, there's days I made more money profit wise than he was making running that restaurant, right? I just got smarter and smarter about it on how I did it, right? But the epiphany was like, if I went to go to Bob and say, hey, Bob, like, I'm going to show you how to cook your barbecue more better and make it taste better. Bob's going to be like, get the fuck out of here. If you go to a goose farmer and his geese lay golden eggs, and he's counting on these golden eggs to eat from, and you say, hey, Mr. Goose Farmer, I'm going to show you what to feed your geese to make them lay bigger eggs and lay golden eggs more often. It's $5,000. You can be like, fuck you. Even if it wasn't $5,000, he's not going to let you do it because this is the geese that lays golden eggs. But if you said, hey, if you give me one of those eggs that aren't golden, I'm going to go artificially inseminate it with the sperm of a gander that has a past history of laying golden eggs. If it works, will you give me half of the golden eggs that it produces? You can be like, yes. I don't think it's going to work, but yeah. You see, there's a difference there, right? He's already got the geese with the heredity to lay golden eggs, right? So we just got to make more of the damn things, right? Does that make sense? But life's way different. you'll get waiting lists of partners. When you get a partner, you say, usually like, I'll take the last time when I could take a partner right away. And I'm not taking on any new partners right now, but like usually it's like, hey, I'm booked up like 3-4 months ahead. Oh man, is there anything we can do to make it happen faster? And like all that kind of stuff. I said, I'll pencil you in if something opens up. And then I'll run a test really quick before it opens. I'll run a test really quick to see how it goes. But that's what's important to me. I want to help people live a life where they're serving no master, not only just from a client perspective, but from a debt perspective, from all the perspectives, right? To design the life exactly the way they want to design it. That's what gets me up in the morning. And I like business and I like doing deals, right?
I have a question here. When you were talking about once you do the cold outreach and you get the first call and you're going to run the test and about how to do the framework, make sure you get paid and stuff like that, which is in the beginning you were not going to know. I've seen Jim that he gets all these calls, but when he gets a first day call, he calls Tony and has Tony on the call, which is very smart. So it's basically every time you get a call, you partner with Tony and Tony takes it from there in the beginning. Because I'm guessing this is also the beginning for you.
Okay, yeah, let me tell you exactly how that has come about. The first 2 calls that I didn't have a one-on-one call myself with these people. I scheduled the first call with Tony because I didn't even know what I was looking at, what I was thinking about. And,
understandable, yeah.
Yep. And then after that, it took me 2 calls. I'm like, okay, fuck, I understand what we're doing here of who I need to bring to the conversation with Tony. And so then after that, I start having the conversations with them one-on-one, people that I know and have a relationship with. I know what questions to ask, what to understand to find out if they're potential for the conversation with Tony. And then right there when I'm on the call with him, okay, so I think a call with Tony is the next step. Let's get it booked right now. And so then I get them booked. But now, yeah, just with those first couple calls, I know what I'm looking for. So I'm not just like bringing in people who are either surprised at the conversation, not understanding what we're doing, or a bad fit that wastes Tony's time.
So you partner with Tony in order to do these deals.
Yeah. And then, I have one that I'm doing my own of the working through an audience multiplier campaign that I'm doing that one on my own. And it's a much smaller list and that sort of thing, figuring out how to get my feet wet and make that happen.
Okay. And Tony's open to more of these calls.
Yeah. So let me add some distinction here, because I think it's super smart what Jim's doing. But part of this, like I did a post, there's about 30 guys that'll go and like really open to doing calls. And there's several people, Marcus Anderson, Johnny Hopkins is in there, that have experience doing this. But where I would more look for the distinctions there is what type of niches are they in and what language do they speak, right? If they speak Spanish, I might get Fabricio if he was in there to do a call, right? If I get a weight loss offer, I'm going to give that to Marcus. Marcus is great at weight loss offers, right? Tony's really good with female audiences and female woo-woo audiences, right? Plus he's got the experience, right? Does that make sense? So part of my dream and part of my vision is for us to all collaborate and get to know each other really well. Like I know Honey does a lot of SaaS, right? He does a lot of SaaS stuff, and especially around video stuff. So if I come across that or you come across that, you might bring Honey on for that. Does that make sense? So I think,
yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from Tony, but I think some of this is real natural because he has the experience, and there's the female woo-woo audience, which he's really good at.
What is female woo?
It's a little bit of a derogatory too. Sometimes they call themselves, so it's not too, but it's like, hey, spirit and light, and like we're gonna find our
completely already got it.
You know,
yeah.
And a lot of my people that I'm connected with are serving those audiences. And so, yeah, that's why it's a good, easy fit sometimes.
Go ahead.
Hey, Travis. Man, sorry if I'm being thick, but I've asked you this before and I'm not sure I got it. So I understand the dynamic of coming to one person and talking about their mission, reading through their book, their videos, or how different they are. I understood that already. I'm going to be speaking in front of an audience in a few weeks. And I wanted to, it's all business owners. I've been trying to come up with the right way to present this in a way that they get value. And if I have a soft call to action, whatever, for them to, if you don't want to do this on your own, get in touch with me. I'm thinking of following what you said, growing audiences. And the second after that is getting more sales. I'm thinking in terms of those two. Is this where I need to go? And in order to present something that gives value to them, am I right in thinking that presenting one of the magic tricks that I got up my sleeve and giving them the gist of do this? And if you want me to do it, let me know. Is that a good way, or am I off? Or
it's a great question. It really is. There's different facets to it, though. First, do you know who's putting on the event? Who's the influencer that's putting on the event?
You ask in general, or do you want to know the name of the person?
I don't even know the name of the person, but what's his mission? What is he trying to help people do? And who is it? What is he trying to help them do?
He's got some people around, like the word, but it's in Portuguese. It's not going to be exactly the same as it is in English. But fraternity, in the sense that he's getting people who run businesses and he wants to run a tight community so people actually help each other.
Okay.
And
what do they need help with? So that's what I would interview him before if you can. I would just have the same conversation. Hey, I want to give the best presentation, most helpful presentation. What are the things that you got the brotherhood in the community? Are you a part of that? Can you see in there? I would go in there and look at that, right? What's the threads that they talk about? What gets the big responses, right? And so I would look at those things, just like you're at the vending machine, seeing all the traffic go by and say, hey, that's a good choice on that Mars bar and the Diet Pepsi. What else would you get if you were here, if it was only here, right? But you can also ask the corporate person or whoever owns that traffic, hey, do you have a suggestion box? Yeah. What is it usually packed full when it comes regard to the vending machines? Oh, they want sandwiches, right? So you can ask your influencer and they're always interested in solving the problems that their people have, right? So they're probably going to come. They're always trying to look for how do they spread their reach and more sales. If you can go even more specific, our whole job is to go more specific with things. Like what specifically in sales do they have challenges with, right? Because it's different for different people. If you're talking to a bunch of franchise salespeople, their biggest problem is that their sales cycle is so fucking long. But from the time people say, oh, I want to go, they're going to check out all the franchise. Does that make sense? So they're interested in how can I shorten the sales cycle, which is, if you say that to a coach, it might be there, but it's not going to be hit the bullseye the same way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to keep talking here for a minute because a whole bunch of stuff popped up when you're asking your question. What type of content to give them? It's always great to give them a little bit of a how-to, a 1, 2, or 3 step. But that's not what people will remember. Like how many books do you remember? The 7 steps we don't remember that shit. We want to give them a new way of looking at something if we can. So I would focus more like, how is it what they're doing not working out for them, right? What's the real core issue? I did this today, right? What's the real core issue? And then what's the transition point? Because if they can get that, it's going to be far more useful than the 27 steps to doing whatever, if that makes sense, right? It's hard because people think that's what good content is. And they'll like, oh, that was really good content. But when they get home, they'll throw the notes away and they'll never remember shit if you didn't give them a different way to look at it, braingasm, if that makes sense. The biggest thing people are plagued with right now, I'm assuming that these are people that would fly or be at an event or spend time are probably successful people looking to become super successful. And their general issue is they know they got all these things they need to get done, but they don't have the time to do it. And they don't want to hire somebody because that's a chore in itself. You got to have a whole hiring process, then you got to manage people, right? So if you can say, hey, if you want to do audience multiplier, hey, that could be the breakthrough. Like everybody's like looking to go run Facebook ads or YouTube channels, and they never think about asking their own people, right, to grow their audience. And it works amazingly well, especially if you have a mission or a movement that you already have. People love to promote that kind of stuff, right? So you can walk them through some very short steps in an audience multiplier campaign, right? But guess what? Nobody's going to do it, right? So what you can do is you can say, hey, look, this is what I do. And I work a little bit differently from everybody else. I do all the stuff, right? I invest, I hire the copy people, I hire everybody that we need, right? And you only pay me afterwards, or we'll figure out a way to rev share this, right? To where it's gonna be money that you never would have had, right? I just share a piece of it, right? There's lots of ways to work this out. Now, pay particular attention to this. Is one of the best ways to sell in front of a group without selling. I learned this helping some people out that were like doctors, and they say, oh, what do I say in front of this group? Because I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be viewed as a salesperson, right? So one of the things you can do is say, hey, I don't have any openings at this moment, but if you'd like to find out more and jump on and know when I have an opening, right? Just depending on how big of a crowd you're going to have there, it's better to say, hey, text me right here, right? And if you have something set up, what's going to happen is I got some robots and they're going to send you an email address. You're going to ask for your email address, and then I'll send you more stuff there. Or this works really well. You just give them the email address, right? Leandro at leandroisawesome.com, right? And you can set that up automatically to trigger your autoresponder, or you can just take those once they hit your inbox and then send them somewhere else. Does that make sense? But that works amazingly well, because now you get a waiting list of people rather than trying to sell them on something right there, right? So you get a hot lead list. Does that make sense? So I've had doctors do that. It works out really. They get like 100% of the room. I had a concierge doctor do that. And he's like, everybody there sending in their phone number, right?
Yeah, it's cool because like it's a little heterogeneous. Is that a word in English? It's a little bit like there's maybe 15% of the people are actually that group who are the successful, who want to be super successful. And there's a lot of other people who aren't as successful, but they want to be around those people. And they actually throw out physical.
Don't try to include them all. Don't make anybody feel bad.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? Because you're not going to want to work with them all. The mistake we make is we try to tailor a message for everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I talk to those guys. I talk to them because that's who I want.
That's right. Hey, if you're looking to just have me manage and run this for you and hire everybody and just do it so you can go do your thing, right? I can't do it for anybody. Here's some of the things that I'm looking for. You don't have to go too deep into it, right? But you got to have a movement or a mission, right? Whatever you got to have 3-bedroom, 2-bath, right? Like roughly an acre, pretty close to the lake, right? Then it's really easy for those people to reach out, right? If you haven't figured out what your mission is, that's not what I do. If it is what you want to do, that's awesome. But if you haven't figured out your movement or your mission, right, that's not what I do. But if you already know your movement and your mission, and you have an audience that's growing, right? If you'd be open to discussing me growing your audience further, right, with no money up front, right, and I'll just handle and manage everything, right? I don't have a spot at the moment. Or you can just say it a different way. I can't tell you everything about it here. And because of the way that I do this, I want to get to know you a little bit more, right? Just drop me an email. Does that make sense? But you want to get the hand raisers first, right? Rather than just pitching an offer right there. If that.
No, I love the I don't have a spot right now thing, because that also trays some interesting stuff. First, I'm not chasing after you. Yep. And second, I'm doing this already with other people. Maybe we'll do it. I don't know. So that's also mysterious in a way.
I love this example. This dude just crushed it. I don't know if you guys know Greg Reed. He's more of a background guy, but it's about 10 or 15 years ago. He was absolutely fucking crushing it. He would buy leads from monster.com and all the employment sites. He would buy leads from them, and he would put on webinars every single week about how to write a resume. And he would show them everything. Like he was really great. He would show them everything. Here's how you do you got to do this part. You got to make this part together, put this part together. And he would show them everything. At the end of it, he'd say, if you just rather us write it for you, right? We'll interview you for 20 minutes, and then we'll write the whole thing for you. It's $400. Absolutely just smashed it, right? Nobody remembered the 27 and 11 steps to writing the resume, right? They remembered a few big takeaways that they had, right? But at the end, they're just like, oh, fuck it, $400, do it for me, please.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with the magic trick, actually. Showing them what we do is a way to show them, for them to be like, oh, I don't want to do that shit. It's too much. And of course, like you position it as something different. And The contrast, I really got to keep that in mind, do the contrast. And I think it takes care of itself, especially with what you just said. Yeah. So yeah, man, I do feel like I know where to go now.
Awesome. David, I just saw you had your hand up. I'm going to bring you on board. David is another Ronin. Got a lot of our Ronin here.
I have a question too.
Let's hear it, Jim.
Okay. So have this person who she reached out from a Facebook post. This is somebody who her and her either husband or long-term partner, they have a bunch of the influencers and want to be influencers following them. And she reached out to a post of, I think it was like, hey, if everybody has such great advice for you, why don't they implement it for you and share in the profits? And so she responded to that and then just saying, we should talk. And so then I reached out to her with a DM saying, hey, just a quick follow-up on this. Here's what I said. Here was your comment. Do you want to talk? She saw it, didn't say anything. Then I had a lunch with a friend of mine who happens to be a friend of hers, and he did this little introduction. Hey, Jim's a really good guy. He's doing some great stuff. He told me all about it. I think it would be great for you. You should talk to him. And she did just like a very short little, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for the intro. And then she's dropped it again. So there's the one side is the possibility that, okay, this could be somebody great just from the fact of she's got a problem of she's got too much shit on her plate. And then I don't want to come across as needy, bugging. I am not going to chase. And so I was thinking like, okay, I want to have one more. Okay, hey, you want this thing or not, but not make her feel bad, right. Not ruin the thing with my other friend of, hey, why were you an asshole to Lynn? What's going on there? Yeah. Have any thoughts about that?
Absolutely. So I'm okay with a yes, and I'm okay with a no. But if I'm looking for a 3-bedroom house, 2 bath, 1 acre by the lake, and I knock on the door, right? And they say, we're not sure. Let me talk to the wife, right? Awesome. Okay. I'm not in a rush, right? But if they haven't told me no yet, and they haven't told me yes, I'm going to persist. But the way I'm going to persist is to encourage them to tell me no.
Okay.
So this is an old Sandler trick. And if anybody hasn't, how to learn to ride a bike at if you can't learn to ride a bike at a seminar, chapter 8 is probably one of the most valuable chapters of any sales book that I've ever read. It's called Negative or Reverse Selling. But some of the terminology you can do is like, hey, I know you got a lot of plates spinning in the air, right? I'll usually make a joke about myself, right? You probably heard how much I can talk. So you probably like, where can I fit this damn thing in, right? Should I just close the file on you? And sometimes if I'm really trying to evoke a response, I'll say forever. Should I just close the file on you forever, right? Or there's some softer thing, like I get the feeling that this is way on the back burner for you, right? And I should just shut the door or close the file, right? Or depending on how well you know her, sometimes this works too, is are we over? Question mark. It just depends on what you're doing, right? The key thing is to just get the conversation going again, right? Mm-hmm. One of the things too is you got to remember, like they're totally have their programming that they think you're going to want money from them.
Right.
So one of the ways you can approach is say, hey, I don't know if this is going to work or not, right? If it can be helpful for you or not. What I do know is that I work way different than anybody else, right? I manage it and bring everything to you. The only time you would ever send me a dime is after we've got some of the results, right? It's not going to cost you anything. The other thing that could be going on is you just got too many plates in the air right now, right? It's probably the biggest reason why we should get together, so I can take one of those plates off of your hands, right? But just let me know, is this such a back burner thing for you that I should shut the file on you forever? Does that make sense? So I just encourage a no. It's way easier to encourage a no, but you get the truth on the table. Does that make sense? And sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I was just had 3 glasses of wine and it sounded like a good idea at the time. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of times when you do those 2-step posts and hey, if you're interested in this, put a yes or whatever it is. Some of my reach outs on that might be, hey, thank you so much for the support. Were you really into me, or are you just trying to give me some support? And it's totally okay if you're trying to, I appreciate the support, right? It's not like, yeah, I'm just trying to give you some support. Or they might say, no, I want some more details. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But the way we want to approach it, the principle is to make it safe to say no.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Thanks for that. A few good ideas, and I'll work it out here.
You can almost keep following up forever as long as you make it safe to say no. It's when you're pushing to do something that makes it right. I'll even say, hey, I don't want to keep pinging you. If you've already shut the door on this, you just take 2 seconds and let me know that you're out. That way I don't have to schedule an appointment with my therapist. So again, just adding a little humor in there, right?
Yeah.
But you can use GIFs. There's some funny GIFs, right? Like you can use like all kinds of stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
But you're always safe if you're making it safe for them to say no. Nobody can get mad. Nobody's going to post a thing on the internet saying, oh, he was asking me if I'm out, not saying, hey, when can we schedule a call or whatever.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Good question.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Hang on 1 sec. Donnie, you got your hand up. Are you being patient and waiting for a question or just a...
Yeah. So my question, is it a good idea to go into some of the outreach with something in mind with a partner, potential partner? And for example, I had found a person with a course that I think they don't have a book, and I think that they would do really well with a book. It's not a huge audience, but I think there's potential to do a lot more with that course in the audience to both build it, and then it's a audience with business owners, so then you could do more with the business owners as well. So just in general, is it a good idea to have something in mind before you reach out?
I would say if you're new to this, and most people here are new to it, and we're not looking for to do a specific type of deal, like the Beamer's a specific type of deal. Here we're a little bit more open about what we're doing. I would just see if I can go in and add value to them and see, and just do more of a collab call and assume that they've got a lot of plates in the air, and maybe you could take one out for them or not, because they're probably not interested in a book. So we want to get, again, a book is a feature. A book is a means to an end. We want to find out what their end is. So why do they wake up every day? And you can do, if you go to their about section on their page, like there's so much, or you go to their profile, people are, especially people that are mission oriented or movement oriented, are pretty verbal about it, right? And so you talk about, your talking points aren't about the book or emails or any of those things. They're about, I just do a lot in the land and real estate space, but I find out something unique that they're doing, and I know that they want to spread the word about that. And I talk about that, right? And how I can help them with that, right? There's this old guy, he's in his 70s, but he's really smart about how, and he's cheap as fuck, right? He's so cheap, but it's what makes him endearing, right? But he's figured out a way to send deeds. He finds houses that have back taxes on them, or pieces of land that have back taxes on them. And he just prints up the deed and he sends it to them. Already, he said, just take this to your bank and I'll pay the taxes for you. And he gets deals like that. It's completely different than whatever. It's just a great way to start for people, right? But me just knowing that much about them, right? I can have a conversation around that. So I usually open up on a personal thing, right? Not, hey, how about them hogs, the Razorback hog? But
yeah, so
how did you figure out that you could just, did you think it would work when you sent those first deeds, that they would just sign them and send them? You see how I open that up? And then he comes back, and I know his mission, like he just wants everyday people to be more successful in the real estate space. So I'm like, man, like everybody's starting in the land and house business should do this first, right? Just to even see if they really like this business or not. How do we get more of your stuff out there, right? I know business owners, when I talk about land, the business owners, they go nuts zongo over it, right? So I think there's a lot of room for collaboration. Would you be open to discussing it? Does that make sense? So I haven't talked about books or emails or any of that stuff. I've only talked about what's important to him, right? And I've shown that, like, I know him enough, right, that I've done my homework, but I'm offering value. I'm offering to maybe connect him to some business owners, right? You being in the Ronin network, you've got a whole network of people that can take marketing people that can take stuff off it. So you've got, hey, I've got a network, right, of people. Maybe there be somebody I can connect you with. Interesting thing is that we do it way different. We don't take retainers or money up front. Like we only work on getting paid after the result. Does that make sense? So I look at like, how can I add value? And then I just go in there, and most business owners have the same problems. Need more traffic, need more reach, sales aren't, does that make sense? And then I just find it what they're not doing that maybe I can step in and do. Now mine's pretty narrow now, right? But there's literally 97 things that you can do, right? Does that make sense? So I would just, for the practice, I would get in and say, if his thing is, I'd really like to have more subscribers. Don't just leap into your solution. How are you getting subscribers now? What don't you like about that? It costs me a lot to run Facebook. Hang on one second. How do I don't want to run all the Facebook ads, and I don't want to do a gazillion YouTube videos, right? Or I'm already doing the YouTube video. I don't have time to do anything else, right? What have you considered doing that you just haven't had time to do? Does that make sense? You see how you go in there, and then you can bring, have you considered doing a book? Yeah, I considered doing a book, but man, it'd be hard to write it. Like, well, how hard can it be? It will only take you like 3 years, right? And then you can have some fun, right? Does that make sense? And then you can say, I got an idea. I really believe in what you're doing. And I believe like everybody should have your land course. I think it's probably the simplest way to get started, super cheap, right? You're a cheap bastard. And I think that's exactly what they need, because we need to learn how to start a business without spending a lot of money. What if I took some of the content that you already had, some of the videos, and we put that into a book, right? Then we get all the Amazon flow, right? And there'd be other places. I know business owners are really interested in how to get started in land. I could probably get it in some of those flows too, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. That would be like later on if we decided to get married. Right now, I'd like to figure out, would your people even want to read a book? What do you think? Let me shut up a minute and tell me what you think. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And that's, to be clear, that's how I've been getting really good response rates for reaching out to people.
Yeah.
Like, I go see what they're about, if I even am interested in what they're interested in. So but yeah, that's helpful to.
Yeah. After you've got, I don't want to say like you're inexperienced. That's not the case, but this is new to you, right? And it sounds like you're doing great doing what you're doing. I would just get more conversations open, right? Having more of these non-white knuckly conversations, and you're naturally going to find, if you don't want to do it, maybe somebody else in the group will want to do it, right? After you got your sea legs on a little bit more, you can be a little bit more direct. But like the thing with directness is you have to go all the way on it. You can't half-ass directness, right? If I just went to the land guy, I could probably say, dude, you have the best thing for land people to get started. I think I could just blow you up with customers, but I don't know if your peanut butter will match my jelly, like when it makes, right? So I just say weird shit, right? And their first response may be like, they're going to think I want money, right? Does that make sense? So I'm open for that, right? I'm open for the next thing. A lot of times the next thing that they say is actually what seals the deal. Like Jim did a little example, like, hey, I'm too busy to take this on. Dude, that's why I'm reaching out to you. I know you're like, you're successful. You want to be super successful. You got lots of things on your hands. Let's brainstorm for 10 minutes about what we can take off of your plate, right? Does that make sense? So very often the very thing that they tell you is the very next thing, right? I wouldn't know what the title of the book or what to put in it, right? Dude, that's why we should get together and brainstorm it, because we've got to get this into more newbies' hands. There's a whole bunch of crooks out there, right? And they're paying $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 just to be raked over the fucking coals, right? I might not say, and they're being raked over the coals when they could just start with your thing for $299, right? And it'd be the best thing that happened. They'd figure out they even like the land business or not. There may be some upside, there may be not, right? But if the upside's there, it's probably going to be big, right? Would it make sense for us to explore how big the upside would be? And I'll tell you, I'm going to make sure that you have no downside risk. Does that make sense? That's all we're ever doing, is we're just exploring upside and downside. But I would just go on these real helpful collaboration calls, understanding that there's going to be 97 things that they could do to go from successful to super successful, and they're not going to do any of them because they're just too busy. And then see what's important to them and how that could fit into what you're doing, right?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, dude. You're doing great. Honey, what you got, man? You are muted, buddy.
Oh, sorry about that.
And remember, like my Arkansas ears are slow, right? So you got to go on. You got to go on how 0.5 honey speed.
I am working on that. That was the first thing that I learned from you, and the second thing was the shame part that you shared last week. So I'm just trying to be very careful with how I'm talking to people. You remember in that shame part, you gave me a close of, should I close the file on you forever? So I had a prospect that I used this clause on her, and she just replied yes. Okay.
Cool.
And,
That's awesome.
yeah, that was great. We are clear on that. But I didn't know what to respond after that. Okay. Because I wanted to make sure that I'm not responding in a way where it's somehow hurting the relationship, because I do want to keep the doors open if they want to come back in the future.
Sure.
Okay.
You just
I
say,
don't,
okay, thank you.
or should I say, like you mentioned earlier in the call, sure, give it a try yourself. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, drop me a message.
No,
That
I think
that
I
would look great.
said that's what I'm thinking, right? I don't know that, but if you're going to do it yourself, that I might say, yeah, that's awesome. If it works out, I hope it does work out for you. If it doesn't for some reason, but if she said no, close the file on me forever, that would be an inappropriate response.
All right. Makes sense.
I would just say, okay, thank you. And if they want to open it back up again, they will. Now, I'm not trying to be tricky, but if I really want to do business with them, maybe in 3 months, I might reach back around and say, can you remind me why I closed the file on you?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay, great. Another thing that I wanted to ask was regarding the suing Facebook group deal that I shared in the Ronin group. And so you always mention that we should do research around whoever we are reaching out to. Okay. And in certain cases, when we don't have that luxury, when we don't have that time, like in the case that I'm talking about in the swing group, I was just trying to figure out how would you monetize that group? Okay, because the group owner had not monetized the group already. So I went through the group and I found out that people are talking about quilting cruises. Okay,
Quilting
so
what?
quilting cruises. So basically, what these quilting companies are doing, they are taking people on these cruise trips.
Oh,
You know,
cruises. Okay. Yeah.
so
Interesting.
yeah, I thought, okay, this is a like I have no idea about the industry, but my guess was that this is a big enough ticket where we can sell and make some money. So I reached out to a few companies that were doing these quilting cruise trips, and I had no time, or even if I tried, there were like I did try to check their about section. I did try to check their about section, but there was not much info that I could use in my outreach. Okay. And I had to do that outreach because I wanted to get that deal done as well. So in that cases, how would you approach them? Like the thing that I approached with, my opener was, when is the next cruise happening? This was my opener. And when they responded, I told them simply I'm trying to acquire a Facebook group dedicated to swing, and they were talking about quilting cruises. So I just wanted to know when your next trip is, and would you like to sponsor the group, or would you like to advertise your cruise trip in the group? This is my approach. This is what I used. Is there a better approach here that I'm missing out on?
I like the way you're going about it. I might just tweak a few things, but I like the way you're going about it. What relationship do you have with the person that owns the sewing group?
I have no relationship with him whatsoever. Like I just saw his post in one of the groups, and I just told him DM me the link and the price that you are looking for, and he sent me the link. And for price, he just said I'm open to offers.
Yeah. So you just saw him posting in a group, right? You don't know what revenue he has or any of that kind of stuff.
He has never monetized the group.
Okay.
That's the issue. Else I would have given him a number based on my SaaS experience, but he has never monetized the group. The only thing that he has done is he has collected email leads, some 3,000 or something email leads that he has collected. But even in those email leads, he hasn't sold anything.
Okay. Why do you feel under time pressure? You don't have time to do the research. Why do you feel under time pressure? What's happened that has you feel under time pressure?
So this is something that I'm not sure if this is going to work out. So I don't want to put too much time. And as I mentioned that I did try checking their about section, the website.
Perfect. I get you now. So here maybe what I would have done. So this guy wants to sell something and you may be a buyer or representing a buyer, right? I'm not trying to be inauthentic with this, but he's probably open. The owner of the sewing group is probably open to having a Zoom call. So I would just be really upfront with him, right? I would say, okay, you're not doing any revenue, but you've built a really nice group here. And I can tell they're really engaged, right? But you just haven't had the time to go out and figure out a way to monetize this, right? I am interested in this group, right? But I would like to find out like what the monetization opportunities are before like I sign any options or do take any further steps forward, right? Would you be okay me reaching out? I wouldn't say I'm you, but on behalf, right, to some companies, right, that I found that may be a monetization path, and seeing if they'd be open to sponsoring, letting us sell something that they want, right, and letting me run a test, right, with that, which is a couple of posts, right? Don't say just test because people don't know what a test is. Just running a couple of posts and seeing if they're even open to it. Because what I want to do is I want to get in there and say, hey, would you be open to taking a sewing cruise, right? Because then you've got some real data that you can go to an advertiser or whatever and say, I've got this 100,000 person sewing Facebook group. I just did one post, right? And I've got 300 people that would like to take a sewing cruise, but we have nowhere to send them. Would you be open to discussing this? And you're going to have a way better, right? But you want to get that representation, right, first, if that makes sense. But then you can also ask while you're on the Zoom call a whole bunch of questions of this person, right? And do your research right there. So you're killing or stoning two birds with one stone, right?
Okay. But not exactly this, but when I was doing my outreach, I did try a version of this. I took screenshots. I searched for crews in the group. Okay. Yeah. And I took screenshots of all the posts that had 16 reactions, 66 comments. And I sent those screenshots with my pitch in my responses. Yeah. So I did try that, but I'll figure out, I'll just talk to him and I'll try your approach and see if that pans out better. One more thing.
And you might say, hey, what you want to find his timeline, how much money he wants, why he wants it, because this can open up lots of opportunities for you. You might just say, look, I don't know, I've got to send my daughter to college and I just need to figure out a way to come up with $5,000 a month for 4 years to get whatever it is, right? So if you run your test and you do, or you get a $50,000 sponsor in there, right? You might say, hey, like, why don't we just do this? So it opens things up a lot for you, if that makes sense. And you understand what timeline he's on and all these kind of things, right? Or it may just be like, I got a really good deal on a piece of land because he just wanted to pay off his house. He didn't care what the land is worth. He just wanted to, now that could have worked to my disadvantage, right? Yeah. But he's like, look, I just want to get 30 grand out of this so I can pay off my house. And it was a hell of a deal. Does that make sense? But you don't find that out if you just think it's all about money, right? Hey, why do you want to pay off why are you trying to pay off your house? Well, I'm getting ready to retire. So I want to reduce those expenses. Does that make sense? So we go from Ronin to Shogun, right? In the deal making thing when we expand beyond just the monetary on what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn that focus shift right now. Yeah, I'm not there. One more thing that is off topic that I have noticed recently about you. I first bought your first date offer mojo, so I have known you for 3 years or something. But recently you have started talking a lot about mission and movement. At least this is what I have noticed. So what has changed and why are you talking more about, and why are you more focused on the mission and movement now?
I'm not more focused on it. I may be verbalizing it more because I'm showing more of you guys, but one of the reasons why I did so well with Magic I'm Making Up back in 2008, right, when it first came out, because these guys they just don't want to hawk a product. They wanted to be behind something that helped bring couples back together, right? They believed in marriage. It's a little bit even more today, right? But like now nobody wants to get married. It was already starting to happen back then with all the online dating site stuff. But so it was something they get behind rather than just swiping right or swiping left, whatever the jargon is today, and going and finding somebody else, right? They believed in making things work out. The reason it keeps coming up more is because not just you, but a lot of folks are just focused on the money and they're focused on, right? So people don't do things for the money. They do things for what the money's going to do for them. That usually goes into a bigger purpose or a bigger movement or a different mission, right? And if we don't know that, it's magic when you know what they're up to. Because he gets me. Oh my God, it's just way different.
All right. That was all. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a good observation though. Let me see.
If Honey's interested, I've got a couple of ideas about the quilting thing.
Let's hear him, Steve. That'd be awesome.
I grew up with both a mother and a mother-in-law who were quilters, and they spend crazy amounts of money. Like a lot of people don't realize that the stitching you typically see in a traditional quilt, they need a special machine to do that. The woman my mom used to go to bought that machine and made a business. She get $500 to stitch one quilt. They buy patterns, templates, courses, master classes.
That's awesome.
Like your cruise, if you could book somebody on there that is a master quilter to teach them, they will pay and go. It's one of those markets where at least I would have never thought there was anything there, but the people that are into it are really into it. And like I said, they spend a lot of money on that stuff. So that might be worth looking into.
Now, that's Steve, you just gave him a great idea. Now, the way I look at that, this is a sewing group. The question is, what can you sew? One of those things would be quilts. That'd be a good cloning opportunity. How many of those people would like to, so you could clone that off, right? That could be another, you could clone that off to a Facebook. If you were going to say you were going to purchase it, right? But you could clone that off into a quilting Facebook group, and you can either run it and monetize it or sell that quilting Facebook group. What else are they sewing, right? I don't know, because I'm not in, right? But how many times can you clone that and sell it and retain, right? That's why I love fucking IP. I love databases, right? Because there's endless amount of ways that you could do that, right? So I love that. There probably is a bunch of people in that selling. Like, how many of you guys like do quilts, right? If I put together a separate group, a quilting group together, would you guys like to be part of that, right? And you could do it free. You could do a free hybrid paid. You could do all that kind of stuff, right? So that's a really good idea, Steve.
I got an idea here for Honey. When you're looking for somebody that's selling the cruise, have you thought about organizing that cruise yourself or partnering with somebody that does that?
No, I have not, because as Travis teaches, I was just looking for a quick test to make sure that this is something worth pursuing. Organizing a cruise is something like I have no experience in, neither in the industry, neither in whatever. So that wasn't appealing to me.
Let me give you something that might help you. There's this guy, his name is Captain Lou. I can connect you to you. I don't know if you ever heard about the Marketers Cruise. This Travis probably has.
Yeah.
Every year since I was there about 10 years ago, so you have an idea. And I think it's been there for like about 12. It's a cruise. It's maybe 1,000 people go there, which is every marker, or a lot of marketers go there. It's about 1,000 people. This is put with Captain Lou, which is the guy that actually has the shop or the little shop cruises that organizes this. And he sells courses on how to organize cruises for, like, imagine we had 20 members from Mojo Cruise and everybody would get together. We would contact Captain Lou and he would organize everything. And of course, because you are organizing it, you would get a piece of the action. The marketer cruise is done by him and he partnered with Michael Hussein, I don't know, another marketer. But if you get in contact with Captain Lou, and I just sent you a friend request on Facebook. So if you want me, I can say, I don't remember his name. I know it's Captain Lou, but I don't know what his last name is.
You guys can PM each other in the Ronin group too.
Yeah, I can I can give you his name and you just contact him. And if you have, I don't know, I think it's 10 people or something like that might be interested. And then what Travis says, you get a master quilter to pay to go there because he's going to be able to sell something. He's going to be able to sponsor you.
Nice.
You might be able to get more money out of it.
Good thinking. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, you just want to organize that thing. And you gave me another idea too. That's a fantastic idea. But I was trying to figure out, how can I turn something into a biz op? Like, we get a lot of money taking diet lists and saying, hey, do you want to become a health coach? But a lot of these people probably want to sell their stuff on Etsy or quilting on, how do I sell my quilting on Etsy? Yeah. So you might do a little hand raiser on that. Hey, like, how many of you guys would be interested in taking some of your crafts and just turning it from a hobby into a part-time income to help supplement your income? And there's probably there's all kinds of how to sell on Etsy and all those kind of things out there. But obviously you probably want to make that a clone group, right? If there's enough interest in it, and clone that off of there. But
yeah, so I have been monitoring the group So yesterday there was a post where somebody just posted a random group member. So what are you guys selling? Okay.
Yeah.
And there were some 300 or something responses. Okay. And people
many
were
responses?
complaining some 300 responses.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I went through the responses, a few responses, and they are not actually open to selling their products because they feel like it's not worth selling it. Okay.
So
This
is that everybody, like 100% of everybody there feels like that?
not obviously not 100%, and
Right.
that's why we would have to do a T1 and see how
Yeah.
it works out.
Here's the thing, a very small percentage of anybody's ever going to want to do anything, but it can make you fucking wealthy as fuck. So you're not looking for the majority of it. You're looking like, is there enough to support that thing? Matter of fact, you probably want to say this isn't going to be in for everybody. It's probably only be for a few people that really love their crafts. They know their crafts help people so much that they want to see them in all the homes across the United, whatever it is, right? So we're going to put on a marketer's cruise, or a cruise for everybody who wants to sell on Etsy and take their quilts, right? And believe that they know their quilts get passed down through the generations, right? They want to see other people's quilts get passed down to their daughters and granddaughters and great grandchildren, right? And it's important to us. Most people aren't that fanatical about their quilts, right? Or getting their quilts out there, right? So it's not going to be about money. I say bizop, but it's about deeper than money. It's about getting their crafts out there, getting their designs out there, sharing the passion of being able to, my grandma died like 15 years ago, and she made me an Afghan when I was like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years old, right? It's red and white, and the white's all yellowed and everything, but it's in the bottom. I keep it because it's my grandma, right? And she crocheted it for me. And it's one of the last things I have to remember her by, and I'll probably die with that. Right. That, you see, it ain't about the fucking money.
And the ones that are not interested in selling it, which imagine you have 2 or 3 or 5% people who are interested in selling, but the other 95%, I can guarantee you they're interested in showing off what they've made and showing other people, look, this is what I've made. I'm not selling it, but to just share what they made because they made it with a passion. So that's another selling point.
I'll definitely pursue this. I'll talk to the group owner.
That's what I would do, dude. I learned a lot. Like, I thought I knew all about business, and then I got into the land business, and I learned a lot of really cool shit on how to do deals faster. First, you never do any fucking due diligence if you have something signed in your hand, right? Now, it's a little bit different where we're working these deals out, but if you're going to go buy something, right, or because the last thing you want to do, right, is go run a test and you make 500 grand. Now your price of that group's going to go way the fuck up. Does that make sense? But also, like in the real estate business, you can't start marketing something unless you have a signed paperwork. You have to be careful about it because you can't be a real estate agent. So you have to have them sign a purchase agreement or an option that gives you the right to market that property. And then you can go out there and market. It's not quite the same here, but it's the same principles. Hey, I represent a guy with a Facebook group with 300,000 sewers, right? They've all shown an interest on going on a cruise, right? I don't have any cruise places to recommend. Would you be open to discussing it? You're going to get, it's going to be way different, right? Respond. I like what you did, right? But I would get on there and think, what do you want for the group? And then you can get him to sign an option or a purchase agreement that gives you some time, and you can flip that, right? You can flip that paper. It is an asset. Now that you got the paper, you can flip that. You can find some company that sewing machine company, right? You can probably flip that. If he only wants 10 grand for it or whatever, some ridiculous price, you could probably, last case thing, you could probably go flip that paper for double, triple what you want for it, especially if you can show them some monetization with that, right? So I think you're heading down the right track there, but just the pieces you want to get, because last thing we do is spin your wheels and find out like, oh, I'm not gonna let you test this on my group. Does that make sense? So
yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah,
I'll talk to him and then I'll approach further. Thank
you. Yeah, because when we started doing land, like we're like, oh, this person emails and said he'd be open to selling it. So we start doing all the due diligence. Like how much is it? Where was it going? We'd spin our wheels, and then we could get him to sign a purchase agreement. So we learned, hey, let's get the purchase agreement done. But we leave a loophole in there. We're like, hey, we have to do our due diligence. But if the due diligence pans out, right, this is what we agree to, if that makes sense. And then we didn't waste our time because a lot of those deals fell out because I just seeing what I could get. I'll just give you an example. There's a piece of land right in front of my house, and there's a for sale sign there, and it's owned by I know of, he's a doctor, Dr. Wong, but he got divorced not long ago. So we negotiate on this land. Finally, it falls through because come to find out, he doesn't really want to sell it. He doesn't want somebody moving in there, but he's got to have it for sale because of the divorce agreement. He's got to be pretending to sell it, but he doesn't really want to sell it. Does that make sense? There's all kinds of things that pop up in these kind of things that we got to get the truth on the table.
I'll do that.
But you're doing good, dude.
Thank you.
Let's take a couple more questions and then I am going to go see. I think Jeannie is cooking dinner tonight. That's actually pretty awesome. She made some burritos last night. I ate too many.
No ribs today?
No ribs today. I think I might be having sushi though, because I think they made a supermarket run. They usually get me sushi when they go to the supermarket. So I got Eric down there helping her out. Any other questions? Well, awesome, everybody. If you're in Ronin, we're going to have another get together here pretty quick. And so this is almost like a Ronin to get together here, but it's all good. I'll hang out with you guys some more. If you guys would like more details, case studies on the Ronin, travissago.com/Ronin. And I think that's all I got, guys. Thank you for being here. I'll catch you guys later.
Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.